Monday Night Football, you got it. Pivotal matchups in both the AL and NLDS. We got it. I'm Tyler Fulgham. She's Anita Marks. As you know, we're running the two-man gang here on the Monday edition of Bet. And it's going to be a grand one. Lot to dive into. Our buddy Mike Tannenbaum, who's just, Anita, been absolutely smoking when it comes to Monday Night Football. He's going to join us in a little bit, as he always does, but I urge our viewers to check out the link on the screen there. Subscribe at youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting to get all of the sports betting content we produce for the visual medium at your beck and call and your fingertips on your iPad, on your computer, on your iPhone. It doesn't matter wherever you can access YouTube. Anita, how we doing tonight? You ready to rock and roll, girl?
I'm ready to go, man. Monday Night Football, Ravens, Colts. I've got my Michael Pittman t-shirt on. Let's go.
All right, before we get to Monday Night Football, we have to start every Monday like we do, leading off with a little reaction or no action. I'm going to read a statement, and you tell me if you have a reaction to that or if no action is the play you want to make. First and foremost, Anita, let's start with this. Derrick Henry, the big dog, will run for more than 2,000 yards this season. Reaction or no action?
I say reaction here. I mean, every single game, the dude is getting a monster load of touches, right? I mean, it's the massive workload. He's averaging 130 yards a game, and he is it. He's the straw that stirs the drink for the Tennessee Titans. So let's do the math, right? So he's at 640. He's averaging 130 rushing yards a game. He still has 12 games left. He does have a favorable schedule. Kansas City, the Texans twice, the Patriots, you could run on them, the Jags, the Dolphins. As long as he doesn't get injured, man, I say, reaction. Jump on that. Hashtag run, don't walk, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm with you. Run with the big dog. Don't walk, because he will run away from you for 2,000 yards, Anita. 28.4 rushing attempts per game. This isn't 1964. This isn't 1958. This is 2021, and there is a human being in the NFL that is running the ball almost 30 times per game. You mentioned the production that's coming with that, almost 130 yards. Don't forget, at 6'2", 245 pounds, Derrick Henry is uniquely built for the running back position in the modern NFL, where he gets stronger as the game goes on and as the season goes on. The big dog eats more in November and December because you don't want to tackle him coming at you when it's 32 degrees outside. Hell no! Guys make business decisions, and the big dog keeps on scurrying down the field with his 4.4 speed. So like you, I think this is a reaction. He is going to go for two bills yet again. He is a unique, one-of-a-kind talent, no doubt about it, in the National Football League. All right, speaking of talent, a little deficient when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions. Reaction or no action, Anita? These two teams will combine for 3 wins or less this season. Right now, they have a grand fat total of 0.
So I'm going to say no action here, because I actually think that they're going to combine for more than 3 games. Listen, you saw the press conference with Dan Campbell. I mean, the coach was in tears. Who doesn't want to play for a coach like that? I mean, I'd run through a brick wall for him. And look at the schedule for the Lions, okay? They've got Cincinnati coming up. We don't know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow. He was in the hospital yesterday because of a neck injury, a throat injury. He's got the Eagles, with all due respect to Philadelphia. You could beat the Eagles. The Bears as well. Then you look at the Jags. They've got the Dolphins. Still not sure if Tua's going to be back. Seattle with Geno Smith. Please. The butt fumbler. Okay. The Falcons, the Texans, the Jets. So, I'm going to give combined these teams. I think they could win more than 3 games, Tyler.
All right, I'm going to say reaction, because I think Urban Meyer is going to stick it out somehow, some way until the end of the season. Now, it may be his only season, but as long as Herb is in control in Jacksonville, that team's checked out on him. They don't care about Urban Meyer. They're laughing at him behind his back. There's no leadership, no culture that has developed there. So guys are kind of just out playing for themselves, contracts with the Jags going forward without Urban or elsewhere in the NFL. I do think there's talent there. Trevor Lawrence specifically shows us week in and week out that he was worthy of the #1 overall draft pick with some of the just individual plays he makes with his legs and his arms. I think the Lions are more talent deficient, and I loved how much Dan Campbell cares. But caring only takes you so far in the NFL. You got to have players. And there's not a lot of players on that Detroit team that's been good against the spread, but still continues to find ways to lose games this season. All right, let's wrap it up with this. Oh, you got one more thought?
No, I was just going to say, listen, Dan Campbell and those Lions had a lot of us who had Minnesota as their survivor pick sweating it out. I'm just saying they almost beat Minnesota, Tyler. That's all I'm saying.
And a big thank you to those Lions for allowing Minnesota to get that game-winning field goal for your survivor picks. Final reaction or no action. Let's turn to Justin Herbert, who is absolutely dominating so far for the L.A. Chargers. Reaction or no action, Herbert will lead the NFL in passing yards this season.
No action here for me. I love Justin Herbert, right? Like, shame on the Miami Dolphins for going with Tua. You can consider Patrick Mahomes because he's Patrick Mahomes, but that offensive line, not fitting the bill this year. Murray's been having a great season, but I'm going to put my money on Josh Allen. That's right. He's already at 1370, and the schedule is a cakewalk coming up. Look at this. The Dolphins, the Jags. He gets the Jets twice, the Bucks, and the Falcons. So my money, no action here. Where my action is going to be is on Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm a no action as well, and that's definitely not a knock on Justin Herbert. Wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if Herbert leads the NFL in passing yards. But there's 6 quarterbacks right now on pace for more than 5,000 yards. So I would rather just take the field. Give me the 5 other outside of Justin Herbert. That's just better odds and probability. Heaven forbid something happened to Justin Herbert and he misses a game or two. And, of course, they have a strong run game with Austin Eckler. But there's just too much competition. As great as Herbert has been, I'll just take the field versus Herbert since so many guys are putting up prolific passing stats so far this season. Speaking of prolific stats, check the numbers for this guy, Mike Tannenbaum, when it comes to predicting Monday Night Football with his plays, props, and sides. He joins us right now, and you better dial into what he has to say because Mike T is on fire right now. Mike, as always, we appreciate you joining us on a Monday to break down the Monday night affair. It's the Colts and the Ravens. Ravens now laying 7.5, a total of 46.5. But let's start with this, the crazy performances we have seen in the NFL this season. Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, all these guys, Brady on pace for 5,000 plus yards this season. How many QBs do you think actually end up reaching that threshold now that we have a 17th game?
Yeah, great to be with you guys. I think when it's all said and done, there's 2 quarterbacks. One, Justin Herbert, you guys have already talked about him. I think he's the league MVP. He's a bright young star in our league, and I'm so glad that I had him ranked ahead of Tua and Burrow 2 years ago. He's making me look really smart. And then Kyler Murray. I think the way that they play offense, guys, the weapons they have, the scheme they have, the style they want to play, I think legitimately when it's all said and done, Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert realistically can eclipse that magical number with a 17-game season.
All right, so Mike T and I, we host a pre-game show to the Dallas Cowboy-Giants game last night. This is our first chance to talk about it now. Man, when the season opens up, Mike, Dallas 30-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. Right now, they stand 16-1. After what you saw yesterday and this week, are you saying that they are a true Super Bowl contender? And should people put money down on them at 16-1?
Yeah, absolutely, Nina. And, we heard Jimmy Johnson last night say, hey, this is the best Dallas Cowboy team since the one I coached in the Super Bowl. And the reason is, here's a remarkable number, guys. As good as the Dallas Cowboy defense has played, and it's played well, they have played 30 different defenders. That's a remarkable number. 30 different defenders, and they're going to get healthier. They're going to get better. So guys like DeMarcus Lawrence are going to come back. And I think they have a real chance to unseat Tampa in the NFC because they're so balanced on both sides of the ball.
All right, Mike, let's get to Monday night. Ravens hosting the Colts. They're now laying 7 and a hook. It's come up from 7 to now 7 and a hook. May seem like a small move, but that's massive when it comes to wagering. Total at 46.5. How are you approaching tonight's matchup?
Carson Wentz. If you go back to last week's game against Miami, he finally started to look like Carson Wentz. As that game went on, he got more comfortable. I think the Colts have a real chance to win tonight, and I think there's going to be a really close game. I expect Carson Wentz to continue to play better than he did at the start of the season. Hopefully, with the extra day of rest, he's healthier. I like the Colts a lot tonight.
All right, Mike, you are owning Tyler in head-to-head prop bets this season. You are crushing it. So I have a feeling I know where you're going to go here, but in regard to Lamar Jackson and Carson Wentz, their prop bets very similar. I'm curious, who throws the more touchdown passes and who throws the more interceptions? What prop bet side are you on with those two for these two quarterbacks?
Come on, Tyler. I'll go Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is going to outplay Lamar Jackson tonight. Now, Lamar played great against Denver. He had a couple of home runs to Hollywood Brown. But I think tonight it's going to be Carson Wentz's night. I expect him to throw more touchdowns. He may actually throw one more interception, too, than Lamar Jackson, because I expect them to throw the ball a lot more than the Ravens do. So more touchdowns and more interceptions for Wentz over Jackson tonight.
Okay. Listen, folks, pay attention because Mike T is absolutely on fire when it comes to his Monday night plays. So, Mike, as always, we appreciate you. Enjoy the game tonight, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers are going to enjoy the winners you just handed out.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Hopefully we keep it rolling.
All right. Now it is our turn, Anita Marks, to dissect this matchup on Monday night. Ravens and the Colts. As we said, a pretty significant line move here in the recent hours as the Ravens have now gone from 7-point favorites to 7.5-point favorites. We've also seen a hook added to the total at 46.5. We'll start with the game and get to our player props. You're up first, Anita. Side or total, what you like?
Yeah, listen, I liked this at 7. I like this at 6.5. I don't like it at 7.5, especially after what we heard from Mike T. So probably how I'm going to address this, a 2-team, 6-point teaser. I'll tease the Ravens down to 1.5, and I'll align that with the Rams, teasing them down to -4.5. They're taking on a Giants team that's just depleted. They lost their starting quarterback, their starting running back, their number one wide receiver just yesterday against Dallas. So that's probably how I'm going to play this. The Colts, this is their third straight road game. Their offensive line is ranked 29th in the NFL. This Ravens defense is finally coming together. They're going to get after Carson Wentz. Don't forget, he's still dealing with 2 injured ankles, not 100%. And this is a big night for the Baltimore Ravens. Folks might not be aware of this, but if they rush for a total of over 100 yards, it'll be their 44th consecutive game doing so. This is a big night for them, especially at home at M&T Bank Stadium. I do like the Ravens here.
Yeah, I like that tease a lot that you've thrown out there. The Rams against the Giants, obviously a big-time mismatch with what the Giants are dealing with. And Sean McVay in his career has been awesome going over to the East Coast and playing in those games. So love what you're doing there. I, too, liked it at 7. Don't like it at all at 7.5, so I will buy an alternate line. -6.5, so now a touchdown, and I don't push. I win if that's what the Ravens win by. It's -140, and I just heard what Mike T had to say about liking the Colts and thinking they could win this game outright. So I know I'm doing the right thing here for Mike T by being exactly the opposite, because that's why he's hot. Let's be honest here. Fading Fulgham is the reason why Mike T has been hot. So I will keep aligning the stars so he can stay on his heater by going the opposite way here, liking the Ravens, buy it down to 6.5. So you're welcome, Mike T. Your hot streak continues there as far as the side. Now let's get to the player props, and I see you wearing a Michael Pittman jersey. Would he happen to be a part of your player props, or are you looking elsewhere?
No, he is. Let me start with my Baltimore Raven player props first and foremost. That's Lamar Jackson, over 10.5 rushing attempts. Like I said, this is a big game for the rushing game for the Baltimore Ravens. He's got 43 carries, 281 yards already on the season. I expect him to carry that rock more than 10 times. Also, over 26.5 passing attempts. Dude's averaging 30 a game. It's really important. Obviously, each and every year we talk about his passing game has to improve, and surely enough, it has. Now, for the Colts, I like Wentz, over 13.5 rushing yards. Listen, as I said, his offensive line, no bueno, Tyler. This is a Ravens defense with Calais Campbell, who's going to be getting after him. I think he's definitely going to rush for over 13.5. He's going to have to rush for over 13.5 yards. Also, one thing about Wentz, man, he tries, he extends his efforts to try to make something happen when he shouldn't. I expect him to throw an interception. You could get that at -105. And yes, I am wearing my Michael Pittman t-shirt. I love Michael Pittman. He was one of my favorite wide receivers coming out of the draft. I love that we're finally seeing him become the #1 wide receiver in this Colts offense. He's averaging 10 targets and 6 catches a game. His last 3 games, So give me over 4.5 receptions at plus money every day of the week and twice on Monday night, baby. Michael Pittman is it.
All right, we have two of the same player props of your Lamar Jackson overs. I like your passing attempt over a little bit more. One, it's a cheaper price at minus 120, and I don't think, even if Lamar runs for 80, 90 yards, it will take 11, 12 attempts. I think it can gash this defense that likes to drop into zone coverage and can be very vulnerable to a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. And Michael Pittman, I think this is one of the absolute bangers tonight, and it aligns with what Mike T was saying. He expects Carson Wentz to throw. He expects Carson Wentz to play well, maybe even well enough to get them a victory. And Michael Pittman has been, without question, the number one alpha receiver on this team, and it's not even close. He's averaging 9 targets per game, a 26.5% target share, and 40% of the air yards. I also think his yardage total, which I believe is at 53, 54.5, is a banger for the over because he's not only getting a lot of looks, but he's getting valuable looks down the field. He doesn't take passes near the line of scrimmage and try and create. He's 10, 11, 12 yards beyond the line of scrimmage when he catches the football, and then he can make some plays with his athleticism afterwards. So love Lamar over passing attempts. Love Pittman over 4.5 receptions. Even though it's no longer plus 105, it's minus 105. Still a good price for what Pittman has shown as the alpha on this team. All right, Anita, take a quick break, reset. I'm going to bring in the Bear as we move down to college football. And you see him right there in the Bear Cave. Chris Felica joining us like he does every Monday here on Bet to make sense of what just happened in college football and to look ahead to the weekend that will be. Biggest upset of the season, Bear, without question, the 12th man at Kyle Field. Very happy to see the Aggies up in the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. The loss drops the Tide back to 5th in the AP poll. They are the highest ranked one-loss team at the moment, but if we're being honest, do they belong still inside the top 4? If you just gave me your top 4 teams right now, regardless of what you think might happen, who would you put in there? Would Bama be 1?
Well, if you're ranking the teams strictly based on talent and who the best teams are, Georgia's number 1, Alabama's number 2, Ohio State's number 3, and Oklahoma's number 4. I think Oklahoma has a chance now with Caleb Williams to really move forward. But you can't always rank teams that way, so you need to, it's always a tricky balance between rewarding teams that might not be as good and winning games, say like an Iowa, who beat Penn State most likely because Sean Clifford, the Penn State starting quarterback, got hurt. Iowa was not the right side in that game. I got extremely lucky because I had Iowa Saturday, but that's the balance that pollsters have. Where does the Cincinnati fall in a group of 5 team that isn't going to have necessarily the schedule that some of those good teams have? So we look forward to another 2 months of that conversation throughout the course of the year. But Alabama clearly is still one of the 4 most talented teams in the country.
And real quickly, Bear, we saw the teams that you thought had the 4 best resumes, Michigan, Iowa, and Kentucky on that list. What about specifically Kentucky and Michigan have impressed you?
Kentucky is an interesting team because while they didn't play, they belong in that conversation that I was just talking about. Not necessarily a great team, but at the same time, they found a way to beat Florida. They blew out an LSU team and basically ended their season. They're undefeated. Michigan went on the road 2 consecutive weeks in difficult environments. Very easily could have lost at Nebraska Saturday night. Made a crucial turnover play when they needed it. Won at Camp Randall, overcoming a really good Wisconsin defense. Maybe Michigan's commitment to running the football this year has really paid dividends to them, and defensively, they're playing really, really well.
All right, Bear, looking ahead to games this week, and Boston College is getting 3 points with NC State coming to town. Their defense is pretty stout, allowing less than 17 points a game. So far this year, the Wolfpack are 4-0 when they score better than 17 points. They're 3-1 against the number when they score more than 17 points. Who do you like here in this matchup between BC and NC State?
This is going to be, I think, a tough spot for NC State to travel to Boston College. And Jeff Hafley, since Jurkovec went down with the injury at quarterback, BC has relied more on its defense. And I think both teams got a much-needed breather last week. BC nearly going to Clemson and beating the Tigers. NC State had a little bit of a letdown game against Louisiana Tech after their upset win over Clemson. So both teams should really be in a good spot mentally. But I like BC in this game. I think Jeff Hafley, being a defensive guy, feels very comfortable and confident putting this game in the hands of his defense and not really putting forward a really risky game plan with the backup quarterback. So BC +3 is pretty appealing to me.
All right, Bear, let's stay in the ACC. We got a pretty nice little matchup between Vodtech and Pitt. This week, Vodtech getting 6 points at home against this upstart Pitt team. It's down to 5 now, as the graphic shows you there. Do you see an upset brewing at home for the Hokies?
That's a good move right there, because Pitt would be, I think, a little overvalued at 6, and I would take Virginia Tech at 6. I think ultimately the winner of this game wins the Coastal, represents the Coastal in the ACC championship game. Pitt has been great offensively with Pickett, who really has not gotten the national recognition and hype that he probably should have for the year he's had after overcoming so many different offensive coordinators. But I think Virginia Tech, after giving that game away Saturday night against Notre Dame, I think knowing that potentially a trip to the ACC title game is at stake, I think you'll see a much cleaner fourth quarter and Virginia Tech possibly pull this upset.
All right, Bear, let's wrap it up by talking about that Cincinnati Bearcat team that is still undefeated. And they're a rather pedestrian 13-11 ATS at home under Luke Fickell. This week, they're laying 3 touchdowns, 21-point favorites at home against UCF. Wow. Are you willing to lay that wood with the Bearcats?
So it's up to that. I know that, again, that line is up from what I saw it at earlier today, and I agree with that move. I wish I would have gotten in on it sooner, because this is not a good UCF. This is not a good UCF team. I think people still kind of equate UCF with what we saw a couple of years back with Mackenzie Milton and those teams that went to the New Year's Six, but they are really struggling offensively with that quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, really looking for identity in Gus Malzahn's first year. This is a Cincinnati team that is looking to make the college football playoff and has a real chance to make the college football playoff. They are going to do to everybody in the remaining schedule, with the exception of probably SMU, what they did on Friday night. They are going to score and score and score and score. I don't think UCF could do anything about it on Saturday. I think Cincinnati wins this game very, very easily.
All right, Bear, let's score some winners for this weekend in college football. Chris Felica joining us on Bet. Bear, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Will do. All right, now let's get Anita Marks back onto Bet, where she belongs, as we wrap things up in Major League Baseball. The playoffs underway, and we've seen some really good series so far in both the NLDS and the ALDS. Let's start with this first and foremost, the Giants and the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are laying 203. The Dodgers, are a great team, but I still think this is disrespectful to the Giants. Anita, how do you feel about this number for a crucial Game 3?
Yeah, I think number-wise, I think the play is the Giants on the money line at plus 183. Probably my favorite play here is Wood over 4.5 strikeouts at plus money. A very interesting stat I came across today. In 13 losses for San Francisco, they went to Wood following a loss, and they went 12-1 after a loss. Also, we know Wood, very comfortable in this spot. The last few times he's faced the Dodgers, he's done quite well. He averages 7 strikeouts a game against the Dodgers. So I think for the price, you go Giants on the money line, but I think the best bet in this game tonight is Wood over 4.5 strikeouts.
Yeah, I agree with you that the Giants, at plus 183 is the much better bet. Even if the result ends up with the Dodgers winning, your process is right by betting the Giants here. A plus 183 price implies a win probability of 35.7%. I think that's too low. I think the Giants have shown us all year long this should be closer to a 45% win probability or a coin flip type of game. So definitely on the Giants side. And I'll go to the other side for a pretty good prop that I like. Max Scherzer, under 7.5 strikeouts. Scherzer is someone who obviously can strike out a lot of batters, but the Giants' 8th lowest K rate against right-handed hitters, and Scherzer's leash is probably going to be an inning or two shorter and a few pitches shorter than it normally would be in a crucial Game 3 with the series tied up at 1 apiece. Dave Roberts has an awesome bullpen. He will not hesitate to go take the ball, yes, even from Max Scherzer, who probably wants to punch him in the face when he comes out to try and do so. But Roberts will go do it to turn to that bullpen because it is a tremendous weapon for him in a series like this. So under 7.5 for Scherzer. I agree with you, over 4.5 for Wood. We're both on the Giants side at plus 183. All right, let's talk Boston Red Sox. Hashtag Dirty Water. To do that, we welcome in Marly Rivera from Fenway Park, joining us live here on Bet. Marly, I appreciate you taking the time to join us from Fenway. Extra inning games are always a strain on managers and their pitching staffs. So the Rays woke up today knowing they'd be throwing a bullpen game after going through 9 pitchers in the last game. What is the plan for the mound for this team, the Tampa Bay Rays, facing elimination?
Well, as you guys well know, the development of this bullpen game of the opener actually has happened in baseball for a very long time, but the Tampa Bay Rays have put that stamp on it the last couple of years, right? It's all about Kevin Cash and how he manages that stable that throws 95, as he likes to call all those relievers. And 6 of the relievers that were used yesterday threw at least, 1 1/3 innings or less. So those 6 relievers are all available today, which means that we'll see how much Colin McHugh can give them. But you know what? They're not afraid to go to that stable early and to use those matchups 1-to-1. Having 6 pitchers right there, it's going to be no problem at all for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Marley, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. You're crushing it, girlfriend. So thrilled that you're on Bet with us today. This is a great question for you. All right, we know in Game 3 winner series that are 1-1, okay, in a Game 5 series, they win 72% of the time. Now, with that being said, I'm sure Red Sox, they know that, Rays know that. With how the game ended last night, what do you think Alex Cora is most concerned about for his club heading into tonight?
I don't think there's any concern. And first of all, it's really good to see you too, and thank you for having me. But I don't think there's any concern at all. This is a veteran team. This is a team, a lot of those guys in there won the 2018 World Series. They're not afraid of having a really big high and then a low and coming back. This is the team that led the majors in comeback wins. If they actually didn't know how to handle those emotions, you know what? They wouldn't have done as well as they did this season, even, beating the New York Yankees in that single game wild card elimination game. So, you know what? This is a very relaxed group, particularly because they can draw upon experience.
Marly Rivera joining us live from Fenway Park, side of Game 4 tonight. Marly, we appreciate you joining us here on Bet and look forward to watching your coverage of Game 4 tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
All right, Anita, that leaves the final game to dissect on this Monday edition of Bet is the game that Marly will be at. She'll be working. Red Sox Rays, a potential closeout game for the Red Sox after, of course, that Game 3 that a lot of Rays fans are disappointed over that call with the ground rule double off the wall, then off the outfielder that went over the wall that didn't allow a run to score. So Rays facing elimination. We heard what Marly had to say. Kevin Cash has his full stable of relievers to turn to after opener Colin McHugh. The Red Sox trying to keep this momentum going after beating the Yankees in the playoff play-in. They can make it to the ALCS with a win tonight. You see the Red Sox are a small favorite, small dog for the Rays, total of 9.5. How you playing Game 4 tonight?
Listen, I came into the series with the Rays. I'm going to stick with the Rays on the money line. And you hit on it. Listen, this Rays team has to be coming in hot after the bogus call from last night, or the other night. Erod, Game 1, was beat up a little bit by this Rays team. I like Colin on the bump. Hopefully he can give them a solid 3 innings. But Tyler, you hit on it, right? Like the Rays, healthy. They've got a lot more depth in that bullpen where the Red Sox, they don't have a lot of right-handed pitchers that they could pull up tonight. And we know the Rays have been great against southpaws. So I like the Rays. I like the Rays on the money line. And at plus money, that's where I'm flowing tonight.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, Anita. I have a lean toward the Rays. My official play, though, is going to be over 9.5 runs. We know that the Red Sox offense has a lot of momentum after what they did, that walk-off winner. And then they have J.D. Martinez back in the lineup. Even though the Rays have that great bullpen, all 6 of those players that Marly mentioned are available, did pitch last night. Even if it was, only 15, 16 pitches, that's still, not the ideal situation to have guys on at least a day or 2 of rest. Then you mentioned the other side, the way that the Tampa Bay Ray offense can absolutely mash left-handed pitching. Guys like Randy Arozarena. Of course, Nelly Cruz, the ageless wonder. He's made a 20-year career in Major League Baseball after off of murdering left-handed pitching. Rodriguez can be good, usually better at home, but I trust this Rays lineup being desperate. Don't forget this name either in the middle of Kevin Cash's lineup. Jordan Luplow. May not be a household name, but he is a guy who has absolutely crushed lefties. A 900 OPS and a 139 weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitching. I think the Rays will put enough runs on the scoreboard. I think the Red Sox will contribute as well, so I'll go over 9.5 here, and I hope we just do see the Rays win, whether you're wagering on it or not, just so we can get a do-or-die Game 5 for this ALDS to see who advances to the ALCS, because it has been a really fun series, Anita.
So we're both on the Rays, we're both on the Giants, and we're both on the Ravens tonight. That's that's a little scary.
What could possibly go wrong, Anita Marks? Well, at least Mike Tannenbaum's on the Colts, and we know that Mike Tannenbaum's been crushing it, so don't you forget that. All right, that'll do it for this Monday edition of Bet. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Enjoy Major League Playoff Baseball. She's Anita Marks. I'm Tyler Fulgham. We will catch you Thursday right back here on Bet.